Robert Lorenz's 2023 Irish revenge thriller In the Land of Saints and Sinners stars Liam Neeson as Finbar Murphy, a retired contract killer seeking redemption during the Troubles. Written by Mark Michael McNally and Terry Lone, this action drama reunites Neeson with Lorenz after The Marksman. Filmed in County Donegal's Glencalmkyle and Kilcar during spring 2022, the production employed an all-Irish cast including Oscar-nominated Kerry Condon, Ciarán Hinds, and Jack Gleeson from Game of Thrones. Set in 1974, the film earned 83% on Rotten Tomatoes and premiered at Venice Film Festival before Netflix's April 2024 release. Neeson and Hinds have been close friends for over 50 years. The story begins with 3 provisional IRA members parked outside a Belfast pub in 1974. Kerry Condon's character, Doireann McCann, sits with Conan and Seamus, watching 2 targets enter the establishment. Seamus parks a second-car bomb-rigged vehicle in front and arms the timer. As the clock counts down, Doireann spots a mother and 3 children approaching. 2 boys fight over school books and stop beside the explosive. Doireann exits frantically, shouting for the woman to move away. The mother understands what's happening but reacts too slowly. The bomb detonates, obliterating all 6 people, including the 3 children, their mother, and both intended targets inside the pub. The IRA cell flees immediately, switches vehicles to destroy evidence, and crashes into a village welcome sign during their panicked escape toward County Donegal. Meanwhile, Liam Neeson's Finbar Murphy practices target shooting with Vinny O'Shea on windswept Atlantic cliffs. Ciarán Hinds plays Vinny as the local Garda officer who believes Finbar operates as a rare book dealer specializing in first editions. They discuss the mysteriously broken welcome sign while firing at tin cans. Their easygoing friendship reveals decades of trust, though Vinny remains blissfully ignorant that his best friend actually works as a professional assassin for hire. After practice, Finbar drives alone to a remote, isolated forest and opens his car trunk where Bart McGuinness lies bound with rope. He forces Bart to walk deep into the trees while carrying a small pine sapling. Bart notices dozens of young pine trees dotting the landscape and realizes each marks a victim's unmarked grave. This guy's reforestation project would make environmental groups question their mission statements real fast. Finbar hands Bart a shovel and orders him to dig. After Bart creates a sufficient hole, Finbar sets an egg timer for 2 minutes and tells him to say whatever last words he wants. Bart refuses begging and instead discusses transformation and redemption. He admits running with vicious gangsters as a younger man but found genuine peace after leaving violence behind to sing gospel music. Bart warns Finbar that continuing to kill guarantees he'll never experience happiness or inner peace. The words visibly affect Finbar, but he executes Bart with a single shotgun blast as contracted. Finbar drives to collect payment from Robert McQuay's residence. Colm Meaney plays Robert as the local crime boss who runs the contract killing operation from his comfortable home office. Robert's wife Samantha answers the door, and Finbar encounters Kevin Lynch leaving after receiving his own deadly assignment. Jack Gleeson plays Kevin as an unsettlingly enthusiastic young hitman whose cheerful attitude toward murder immediately disturbs Finbar's conscience. Inside Robert's wood-paneled office, Finbar reports Bart's successful elimination and accepts his payment envelope. Robert lavishes praise on Finbar's legendary efficiency and reliability, but Finbar shocks him by announcing immediate retirement from assassination work. Robert attempts persuading him to reconsider since Finbar represents his absolute best operative across 3 decades of employment. Robert reminds Finbar of their deep history together. Years ago, Robert discovered Finbar drowning in severe alcoholism after returning from World War II combat, only to learn his beloved wife had died during his overseas deployment. Robert rescued Finbar from the bottle's grip and gave him purpose through contract work, creating a bond beyond mere business. Despite his profound disappointment, Robert ultimately respects Finbar's firm decision to abandon killing and pursue farming instead. Guess retirement plans look different when your resume includes professional assassin under work experience. Finbar visits a local gardening shop and purchases extensive supplies including seeds, tools, fertilizer, and reference guides, marking his transition from ending lives to cultivating them. He returns to his seaside cottage and begins tilling soil near the property, though his complete lack of horticultural knowledge becomes immediately obvious. He can't distinguish flowers from invasive weeds and uses 3 times more fertilizer than necessary. His elderly neighbor, Rita, watches approvingly from her window, finally understanding Finbar's genuine intentions toward peaceful retirement. The following afternoon, Finbar encounters young Moya fishing alone by the river. They chat pleasantly until Moya accidentally drops her packed lunchbox into the flowing water. She panics disproportionately over such a minor accident, and Finbar notices disturbing bruises discoloring her neck and wrists. Deeply concerned about potential abuse, he visits Sinead at the pub where she works as a bartender and promises to replace Moya's lost lunch tomorrow, specifically requesting she doesn't punish the frightened child. Leaving the pub later, Finbar spots Moya again looking terrified about returning home empty-handed. He walks her back to provide reassurance that everything's handled. At Moya's modest home, Curtis suddenly emerges and aggressively demands to know where his food is, revealing the lunchbox actually belonged to him, not Moya. Finbar observes this stranger's threatening behavior toward the trembling child and confirms his worst suspicions about the bruising's origin. Curtis smugly returns to the shed where Doireann and her IRA cell wait nervously. They discuss their precarious situation as wanted terrorists who botched a bombing operation that killed innocent children instead of just their military targets. Witnesses clearly identified Doireann, forcing them underground until police attention subsides. The next morning, Finbar returns with replacement food as solemnly promised. He gives the package to Sinead and notices Moya gripping something concealed in her small fist. She reluctantly reveals a single bullet with a crude cross carved deeply into the brass casing. Before Finbar can question this ominous object, Curtis appears rudely demanding his food while hurling insults at Finbar. Sinead quietly explains Curtis is her late husband's brother-in-law, whom she must accommodate despite despising him because of complex family obligations. Curtis mockingly asks Moya if she revealed their little secret before snatching everything and departing. The marked bullet obviously serves as Curtis's explicit threat, keeping Moya silent about his horrific abuse. Kids shouldn't need to worry about ammunition as party favors. Finbar immediately brings the threatening bullet to Robert and inquires about Curtis's identity and connections. Robert's expression instantly darkens with genuine fear, warning Finbar to stay completely away because Curtis associates with extremely dangerous IRA operatives currently hiding from authorities throughout Ireland. Despite this clear warning, Finbar declares his unwavering intention to kill Curtis for systematically abusing an innocent child, regardless of any consequences. Finbar watches Curtis swimming alone at an isolated beach and casually offers him a ride back afterward. Curtis acts arrogantly superior and asks if Finbar carries a rifle in his vehicle. Finbar confirms and shows the weapon before violently striking Curtis unconscious with the rifle's wooden stock. Finbar transports the unconscious Curtis to his forest burial ground, but Curtis unexpectedly regains consciousness and fights back ferociously with a concealed knife. Finbar shoots Curtis in the leg, temporarily stopping his escape. When Finbar attempts the final kill shot, his rifle catastrophically jams. Curtis seizes this opportunity to attack again. A distant rifle shot kills Curtis instantly. Kevin emerges from the surrounding trees, revealing Robert secretly sent him to protect Finbar, despite refusing to officially sanction the unsanctioned hit. Kevin eagerly volunteers to dig Curtis's grave, displaying disturbing excitement about the burial process. They work together silently in the forest, and Kevin reveals his secret California dream of escaping Ireland's violence to pursue songwriting in Los Angeles. Finbar finds Kevin's disturbingly casual attitude toward murder deeply unsettling. This kid discusses assassination with the same enthusiasm other people reserve for discussing weekend barbecue plans. Pretty sure grave digger wasn't what career counselors meant by finding your passion. Days pass without Curtis returning to the hideout. Doireann grows increasingly worried and suspects police arrested or killed him. Conan and Seamus urgently pressure her to flee before authorities discover their location, but she stubbornly refuses leaving without knowing Curtis's definitive fate. Sinead suggests Curtis simply abandoned them because he was tired of hiding, but Doireann knows her irresponsible brother would never voluntarily desert her. Someone mentions Robert McCoo as the community's most well-connected information source about local criminal activities. Doireann returns to the shed and retrieves her Smith & Wesson Model 36 revolver, immediately noticing a single bullet missing from her ammunition supply, confirming her earlier suspicions about Moya possessing that carved bullet. She drives to Robert's comfortable residence and confronts him directly about Curtis's mysterious disappearance. Robert initially denies knowing anything relevant, but Doireann accidentally steps on a bullet lying on his office carpet, recognizing it as identical to her own custom ammunition. She violently forces Robert to admit Finbar Murphy killed Curtis, though Robert desperately swears he never officially ordered or sanctioned the unauthorized execution. Doireann thanks him with eerie politeness before shooting Robert directly in the forehead, killing him instantly. When Samantha hears the gunshot and attempts entering, Doireann threatens her to stay back, not wanting additional witnesses identifying her face. Doireann and her cell ransack Robert's office thoroughly, stealing considerable cash before fleeing. Approximately 1 hour later, Kevin frantically finds Finbar and delivers the devastating news about Robert's brutal murder. They rush to Robert's residence, where police have already established a crime scene perimeter. Finbar questions the traumatized Samantha about what happened. She explains she never actually saw the killer, but distinctly overheard a woman's voice mentioning Curtis by name during the confrontation. Finbar immediately realizes he's become the next revenge target. He methodically burns all incriminating documents in Robert's office, systematically destroying evidence of their decades-long criminal enterprise, and instructs Samantha to cooperate fully with authorities once he's safely gone. Doireann and her IRA cell stop at the garden supply shop where Finbar purchased his farming equipment earlier. Posing convincingly as Finbar's concerned relatives from out of town, they manipulate the trusting shopkeeper into revealing Finbar's exact home address. The terrorist cell infiltrates his cottage and discovers an old military photograph showing Finbar as a young Irish Army colonel decades ago. They settle in comfortably to wait for his inevitable return. Finbar and Kevin drive cautiously toward Finbar's cottage but notice lights burning inside when the house should be completely dark. Realizing dangerous intruders currently occupy his home, they park strategically on a hillside overlooking the property to identify whoever's waiting inside. They maintain patient surveillance throughout the cold night. Morning arrives without Finbar appearing as expected. Frustrated beyond reason, Doireann vindictively vandalizes his car, smashing windows and slashing tires. Kevin seriously considers shooting her from their elevated vantage point, but Finbar wisely stops him to avoid catastrophic escalation. Rita emerges from her neighboring cottage and courageously confronts Doireann about the property destruction. Doireann violently attacks Rita and knocks the elderly woman unconscious before departing with her cell. Diplomacy clearly wasn't part of anyone's morning agenda. Once Doireann's group finally leaves, Finbar and Kevin rush down to help the injured Rita. They carefully bring her inside to safety, and Finbar instructs Kevin to protect Rita while he alone tracks down Doireann's cell to eliminate them permanently. He explains this is entirely his personal responsibility to finish what he started by killing Curtis. Finbar searches the shed behind Sinead's property and finds conclusive IRA materials confirming they're dangerous terrorists, but the cell has already relocated. Meanwhile, Doireann and her associates attend a local Gaelic football match while continuing to hunt for Finbar. He arrives first and identifies them across the crowded field. When Doireann walks alone to the restroom, Finbar follows and hides behind a concrete wall waiting. She appears behind him instead, pressing her loaded gun firmly to his spine. Apparently, stealth isn't everyone's specialty today. Doireann demands knowing who specifically ordered Curtis's death, automatically assuming Finbar merely acted under instructions. Trapped completely, Finbar lies smoothly and proposes meeting at Sinead's pub tonight for full answers. Doireann wants information immediately, but Finbar observes she could shoot him right now and never learn the truth. This calculated gamble works. Doireann agrees to tonight's meeting, buying Finbar critical time. She leaves with her cell and they immediately begin preparing a satchel bomb for the evening confrontation. That evening, Doireann enters Sinead's crowded pub packed with Super Bowl viewers. Finbar waits calmly at the bar. She immediately demands he reveal who ordered Curtis's killing. Before Finbar responds, Kevin suddenly appears from nowhere and boldly announces, "I ordered him to kill your brother." Without any hesitation, Doireann shoots Kevin directly in the gut. Complete chaos erupts as terrified customers scatter desperately. Conan, strategically positioned inside as backup, reaches for the prepared satchel bomb. Seamus remains outside in their getaway vehicle. Vinny recognizes Seamus from earlier when he falsely claimed being Finbar's nephew. Growing suspicious, Vinny moves toward him. Inside, an intense shootout begins. Kevin, bleeding profusely across the floor, somehow manages shooting Doireann in the back despite his mortal gut wound. Finbar stabs Conan fatally with Curtis's confiscated knife. Vinny heroically grabs the live satchel bomb and sprints outside, desperately trying to carry it away from innocent civilians. Seamus exits the car, violently knocks Vinny unconscious, and angrily reclaims the bomb. He attempts hurling it back through the pub's entrance. Finbar shoots Seamus precisely before he completes the throw, and the massive explosion kills only Seamus on the empty street, miraculously sparing everyone inside. Finbar rushes to Kevin's side, but the young man is clearly dying from catastrophic blood loss. Kevin weakly tells Finbar to take his entire life savings and chase that California songwriting dream they discussed. He dies moments later. Doireann, critically wounded from Kevin's shot, stumbles toward the getaway car but cannot start it without Seamus's keys. Mortally injured, she limps painfully across an open field toward a church, leaving a distinctive blood trail. Finbar retrieves his shotgun from the terrorists' car where they'd stolen it earlier during the cottage break-in. He follows Doireann's crimson trail to the church and finds her collapsed near the altar, rapidly dying from severe blood loss. She cries that her brother Curtis is completely alone now. Finbar solemnly promises to bury her beside Curtis, offering unexpected mercy to his dying enemy. Doireann expires peacefully in the church. Several days later, Finbar visits Rita to say goodbye. He explains he must permanently leave Glencombe since his secret killer identity became publicly exposed during the catastrophic shootout. He promises monthly visits wherever he settles. Rita accepts his necessary departure with profound sadness. Finbar gives Vinny a meaningful parting gift, his heavily dog-eared copy of Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, a book about guilt and redemption. Finbar drives away from Glencombe toward a completely new life, heading for California where Kevin dreamed of writing songs. Director Robert Lawrence, Clint Eastwood's longtime producer, insisted on hiring exclusively Irish cast and crew for complete authenticity. Cinematographer Tom Stern captured stunning footage at Silver Strand Beach and the dramatic Glengesh Pass. Kerry Condon's terrifying performance earned widespread critical praise for giving the villain unexpected depth and intensity beyond typical action movie antagonists. Jack Gleeson, completely transformed from his Game of Thrones villain role, delivered what Empire magazine praised as a delightfully nuanced performance, showcasing remarkable range.